Hello guys. So we are going to continue from where we stopped last time. So we what we did is we inserted data into our database. We created a database in our previous lecture. We connected it. We created table and then we inserted data into that tables. So this is where we left off. So we're going to continue from this place. So this was our database. So as you can see, table, and then these are the data we already have. So now what we want to talk about is getting the last ID. So we perform the insert into an update into the on the table with auto increment field. So okay, we can get the ID of the last inserted data. So now this get last ID is what it will do is you are trying to do get the value, we're trying to get the last person that you inserted into. So now this is what we're going to do. See, this is a formula. So remember we are using the procedure. We're not using the object oriented now. We are using the procedure. In our project we can use the object oriented. So okay, so this is just to insert data, so I don't really need to insert data. We have already inserted data, so all I need is this command. I think this is it. So okay, anyway, this last ID is not going to give us. Let me just do it. It's not that it's that important, but so let me just do it. I will need to get rid of this one you already created. So you need to get rid of this, remove this one. Also I'm going to get rid of this. So yeah, so I don't need this error message. So it's just going to give us the last ID. That's all it will bring out. So this is just going to give us the last ID. So we're not actually giving it to print out the last ID, but let me just output it. So copy path. Okay. Let me just tell you to echo the last ID. Let me just remove this if statement. So this is supposed to query it. So let me remove this if statement and then just echo the last ID. Let me see it's going to give me. So this is supposed to just return me the last ID. Yeah, this. So the last ID is 0 because we are not. So actually the way this works is that we are supposed to insert the data. So when we insert data, it just returns us that last data that is just inserted. So that's why it still is returning us 0. So well, let's move over to, we have inserted multiple data, but now let's talk about how to insert, keep, like, you can prepare a statement. Now this so prepared statements are useful to for injection, SQL injection. So this time is where you set a statement that is there, injecting that data anytime the user comes. You see what we are doing? We are just hard coding and putting data, inserting data inside of the database. That's what we did our previous time. But now what we want to do is that we want it to be in a situation where you set a command. That command is just going to be there. Whenever the user comes in, the user just inputs the data in, the data just enters inside the database. So we don't really need us to be coming up there doing what we have been doing since. So even though all the what we are doing since, the main importance in all these things we have been doing, number one, the main thing here to learn, get from me, is this keyword, the insert into, what it does. So the insert into, you already know that it injects data inside of the database. So now so you can still see that even in our multiple, still the insert into. So we are still good. Now when we come to the prepared, now the prepared statement is just one, so it does not have like the object or so on. So it's just one. So all I need here is, so the statement, let me see, let me look up based on what we have here. Alright, so I'm just going to copy from here down here, then I'll remove what I need to remove. So Ctrl C. So I'm going to get rid of this. So now this I have to check connection, so I'm going to be using this new one, this to check the connection. So if it is connected inside the database, so okay, let me check something also. Right, so so this is unlike a normal way we write. We have been doing the procedure. This is a procedure way of connecting the database. Now we are going to use the object. It's kind of like an object to it's an object way of injecting data. So we're going to use what new. We have not talked about the object, but when we get to the object, you can still come back here and understand what I did here. So this is just the MySQL. It's just a way of, so this is the object way. So this is more like an object to a procedural way of doing what injecting data. It's not like a prepared way. So I'm going to change this. Okay, this is exactly what we have here. So exactly what we have. Why do I have an error here? Password protection. Okay, because there's no value inside of it. So there's no value inside. That's why I'm having an error. Now, alright, so if there's an error, you should just print out the error. So in this place here, now here is actually where what we are doing here. So what we are doing here is, so we are now preparing a statement. So we are saying do what, connect to insert into the database. We are using this inbit format command to do what, insert into this our database. And remember that if you are using this, this must be what, the name of your table, which in our own, the name of our table is users. So I'm going to say insert into what, variable users. So users, so insert into users. So insert into users, where we have what, a column name, where we also have column last name, and make sure it corresponds exactly the way it is in your database. So remember, this is what we did last time. We have already created this. We are not actually creating it again. So we are saying, based on what we have in the database, the last name, the first name, the last name, and the email. So we're going to put this in the equal sign, and now what we are doing there, we are injecting this value, whatever these things are, is a variable that is coming in. So we're just putting, you can call this variable anything you want to call it. So just calling it first name, because this is where this first name, the value that is going to enter inside this variable is going to enter inside of this first name cell. So same thing with this, we enter inside of the last name. Same thing with the email, we enter inside of the email. Now display uniquely also, what this place does is you have to specify what value that is supposed to enter inside of these variables. So what are the value you are passing here? So now this is like an identifier. Now this S symbolize what? String. So it symbolizes that we are trying to pass in string into these variables. So here we are just putting triple S, that is for the 3 column that we have here, that we are going to pass in string. Now we have for the integer also. So the I is used for the integer. So we have the D for the double or float. So we have the S as usual for the string, and the B for blob. So blob, that's what I mean by boolean. So now let's go in and insert data inside of the database. So we already have these data inside of the database. So what you're seeing here is just value. You can remove this, and you just remove this. Now let's say you connect this to the outside, an outside form, external form. So whenever the user comes in, when they put in the first name, the first person comes in, he puts in his first name and his whole detail. The thing pass in and enter inside this variable, it gets into this place. So and enter inside of the column. So now I'm just going to input new data inside of the value. So let's say, let me use team Joe at joe.com, and stone, so at and.com. So always try to make sure to make, so okay, let me make it at and.com. So Julia, I think I already have this Julia, but let me change the name to something else. So Ben, so at juliab.com. So trying to make it different. Yeah, so this is just the command. So now this thing we're just trying to do here is, like I say again, I will have to explain it again. You don't really have to just pass all this value here. So what we do is you connect this. All you just need is just one, which is going to be connected to what? The external page. For example, let's assume in I have, let me not delete this, let me just copy this. So let me paste it here. So just ignore this for now, that this already exists. Now let's say we are in an actual project. So what we are supposed to do is, normally when we are inside an actual project, it usually comes in as object. So we are going to see you're going to see it in a different way. But if it is in an actual project, this place will be what? Connected. I will pass another variable. Probably I don't probably need to pass another variable. So if I have another value that is coming in here, I'll just connect this thing to what? Probably connect it to our form. So connect this part to our form. Whenever the user comes in, when you put something, the thing just pass through this channel down inside of the database. So for example, this one is what? Coming from the database. Let's say what is coming from the let's say this variable is coming from um, our form. So when it's coming from the form, it will come with, it's always like global post, something like this, global post. Then you have your, then you grab the first name, exactly something like this. So this is just, remember, this is just the way we usually grab things from HTML form. So this is just grabbing the name in an input field. So if you just connect it like this, in normal state, when you click, it gets into here. But when we get to a project, we're still going to do this. So let's just keep this aside for now. So I'm just passing three people at once. So when I go and refresh, so go and refresh. When I refresh, okay, record created successfully. Say MySQL object already closed in. See, am I closing this 2 times? Closing this 2 times. So now I've already inserted this. I don't really need to refresh 2 times again. It's already inserted. If you go to the database, always be careful, especially when you are doing this production time. So the record already inserted, meaning that it already entered inside the database. So I need to go to the database to be sure the thing is already in the database. So when I come here, look at our value that we already have here. So when I click here to refresh, you see the value already inserted inside. So now I'm going to comment on this. I don't really need this. You don't really need to refresh this again, because if you refresh again, this will enter again, second time, the same value. If you just refresh, so I don't really need this, and certainly don't need to insert anything again for this. For now, don't really need to insert any value. So I will need to, let me remove this close. So this all this command is mostly meant for the prepared. So the command, that's why I'm just closing it. After, I'm going to change it up for our other command that we're going to use. So next thing is to select data. Now very, very important, because you're going to find yourself using this. Now select data. Where can we, all this stuff, where can we use it? Now the insert into, we have talked about the inserting data, the one you have been doing previously. I just mostly use whenever you are doing registration. So you use all those insert into to register people inside of the database, or even if you not only register, you want to insert someone inside of the database, you want to put somebody inside of the database, like in putting values inside of the database, you can use what the insert into. Now we have this select. So most time we use the select to do what, bring out get the value that is already existing inside of the database. So we just get the value, so that maybe we want to work on it. So you will find us using this select into before you do what, update a profile. So you need to even when you're doing logins, we don't usually use it in login, but we may use it when you are trying to edit profile. So you need to do what, get the value of the person that already exists inside of the database. So this select it can also be used for that. And also you may have entered inside a certain website. You find out that when you enter that website, you find out that your name is showing there. You have already registered, your name is showing there. So what this select is also used to select the information that is already existing in the database and display it maybe for the user to see. So also, like I said, it can be used to display for the user to see, and also can be used to perform other logic. You can just get the data so you can be able to use it and perform other logic. So now, select into, now this, let me explain this. So we have the first formula here. So what we are doing here is that we are trying to select a single column. So we are trying to set a single column from our table. Now in this place here, we are doing what, trying to select all the columns from that table. So now in most database, in a database, we don't usually have one table. We have as many tables as we need to create database. So we always need to specify it. So we cannot just remove the table. So you need to specify the particular table inside of that database that you are actually trying to get the data from, the value out. So now let's go straight into getting the value out. So I'm still going to use our procedure for now. So since I'm still using my procedure, I think I'm going to change this, but let me use this and to see. Let me just write it down here. This supposed to delete this, so this will be, I need to remove this new. So this new symbolize an object, so I'm going to get rid of it. So I'm going to use my SQL connect. My SQL connect. So this is it. Am I making a mistake? No. So now I'm back to what we are doing here. So we are trying to do what in this particular place. What we are trying to do here is we are giving it a command. Now we are saying select the IDs, select also the first name, select also the last name from what our table. So this is not our table. Let's bring our table. Our table is users, so I'm going to use instead of a variable, so we're going to say variable users. That's our table. So select from variable from our variable users. So we are trying to get what the ID and first name instead of this value. So what we are trying to do is what now when we get the value, so this is to check if there is even a value inside of our database. So this MySQL norm row is to check if there's even a value inside of the database. So if there is a value inside of our database, we should do what? Print it out. Else echo what? There is no result. So now we are also using a while loop to output it. So now the while loop will look through the database, the value that is bring brought out, and do what? Echo it out for us. So now also another thing again is that we're also fetching this result out as what? An associative array. So we are fetching this value that is coming out from the database as an associative array. So now this is how we want to echo it out. Now look at here, this is just a normal string. So now as we are fetching it as associative array, we are trying to do what? We are trying to grab it, because we are not grabbing it as an array. So you are grabbing what? The ID. You're also grabbing out the first name. You're also grabbing out the last name. So this is just a way of, remember we have done the arrays, so a way of grabbing your value. So when we refresh, we're going to see everything that I have inside the database displayed here. This is it. Let me remove all this string there so it does not get you confused. So like I said, this is just a normal string. This normal string. Same thing with this normal string. This is a normal string. And same thing with this. But the thing is that I need to put space like this. So that I need to put space. So I'm going to put the dot and concatenate a space in between it. Space. So space. And when I refresh, so let me remove all the unnecessary strings here, so you can really see the value. So this is our ID and this is the value. So you can choose whichever one. The beauty about this getting values that you maybe only the ID you need, you can just say only the ID to just give you only the ID. So if it is only the ID you need, it will give you only the ID. Only the ID. So if you need only the name, so if you need only the first name, so only the first name, same thing. So only the last name, so only the last name. Alright, I can just change it, write it there. Only last name. To give you a last name, So you can also now, since you see, instead of our column we have even the IDs inside of it, even the email, sorry, is inside of it. So if you want to get the email, you can also get the email. You can just get the email. You can just choose to get email. You can just say email, get me only email for the database. Make sure that you are outputting the email to get me only the email that is inside of our database. So I'll put it out. These are all the emails inside our database. So we can do anything we want to do with the email. We can use this particular value now and start performing logic that we want to perform with it. So that's the beauty of it. So okay, back to what we did there. So you see, here what I did here was I was just saying what, so I was just calling for what, columns. Now if you put hashtag star there, like I said, it's all, it means select all. This time around you're not specifying, like you're not specifying the particular column you need, whether it's email, whether it's first name or last name. So all is going to fetch you everything, and it's still going to do the same job. So if I refresh, it's because of you're saying all, it's still going to do the same job. Anything you just output there, it's going to give you. If I say first name, it's going to give me the first name. The first name. So also remember it. So that is because I'm using the star, which means select all from the database. So now back to where. Now let's be more specific now in gathering data. So being more specific in getting data from the database. So what we did there was select all, select a column. For now, I want to select from a specific based on specific values. So let me use a formula here. So here I'm going to use, so from here, I need is from here down here to see. So when I come back here, I'm going to comment on this, all this. Okay, I need a connection. Always remember not to remove it. So we are saying select ID, last name from, let's put our database here. So users is our database, where last name is supposed to do. So this one here is just bringing a specific person. So this one is being more specific. Now this is actually what we use. Like the former one we're using, we are just getting we were just okay. Instead of us using this, calling the column like this, we could just say select all. Let me not be calling specific column. So there may be understandable reason why you could just call column like that, but for now let's just say select all, so we can be able to select everything inside the database. So we say select all from where user from that our table, where last name is supposed to do. Now this last name being supposed to do in a real life project, this what you pass here is what you pass the what we call section. Now inside of the section carries the presence of the person, because whenever you're trying to get data of a user, you're not grabbing data of everybody. You are trying to grab the data of that person that registered. So when you start creating live project, but at this point you must have already created what your section and assigned the user inside of that section. So most time the person of the user is being created with the email. So you can just say where the last name, where the what. So where, for example, let me just bring in the way real life project usually looks like. So at this point you can just say where email. So where email. So when email is equals to whatever is in our underscore section. So whatever is in our underscore section, something like this. So inside of the section, inside of the section, the person have already logged in. So meaning the moment that person log in, the presence of the email of that person have already entered inside of section. So if that person that log in, that the email that is inside of is not the same thing as this, it will not fetch the data. So it will only fetch to that the whoever is inside of that section. So that's how whenever you are requesting data inside of a database, it is only giving you your own information. It is not giving you other people's information. So it's only giving you information because what is being written there is what is supposed to give you whoever has registered. So whoever has logged in, whoever is in presence of the database. So now let's go back to what we're using. So this time around we are just trying to grab in last name. So we are saying where last name inside of the database is what equals to what do. So it's going to give us anybody inside of the database that is what do. Maybe there may be 2, maybe there may be 3. So at this point already this normal row is to check if the value already exists. If it is greater than 0, means that if it already exists. Now so we are also fetching it as associative array. So we are now passing it here. So understand that this is just an ordinary string. Same thing with this. So this is actually the person's ID. So whoever that person is, whoever has the last name do is going to get the ID is going to be here. Same thing with the first name and that last name, which is do. So let's refresh. So I only got one person. If you have more than one person that was answering do, it was just going to bring it here. So this is it. So we have order by. So select an order by the order data from MySQL database. So we can choose to select database inside of the select information inside of the database in ascending order. Now by default, we used to select our data in ascending order. So we can choose to. So let me go back here. So let me grab. Right. Let me do this. Okay, let me grab all of them here. The changes, I already have the code there, but let me just grab all of them so it doesn't get confused. So it's almost similar to this. I would have just make a little bit changes here, but let me just bring an entire different code so it does not look confusing in case you are reading it on your private time. So now what we're doing here is that we are selecting the ID, the first name, the last name from. So this is not our table. So from users, so by the order of last name. So it's given what we are getting now. What we're telling you to do is what? Display this information by the order of the last name in ascending order by default, because this is by default. So the last name in ascending order. So it's going to check, arrange the display it based on the last name in ascending order. So already I've explained this before, this part. So let me refresh. So it's going to output this data in based on the last name. So based on the last name in ascending order, which is the default. So now what about if I want you to do it in descending order? This is what you need to do. So I think is BS. Okay, let me be sure. I think I'm making a little bit of a mistake here. So okay, yeah, PSC. So in descending order based on the last name. So let me refresh based on this last name, descending order. So stone is now at the top. So you can choose it based on the first name. So all you just need to, maybe you want to based on first name, and just come and say based on first name. So based on first name, refresh. This is it. Based on the first name in descending order. So you can just remove this. If you want it in ascending order, just remove this. So now, how do you delete data from the database? So this is just the same thing, the way you delete data in short, this is how you delete data in your project. So whenever you're trying to delete data, we use what? The delete from, then you call the table. So where, maybe you can be more specific, where what column is equals to this. So let's use this. Using the object here, this audio window. Okay, I'm gonna use the object. So delete. So this is more simpler. So just very simple to understand. So let me comment on this one. So when I delete it, I will go and show you something in the database that you will notice. So let me before we even go to the database, let's just go back. Before we even delete, let's go into the database and let's go back and take a look at it. So you can see the way the database is being structured. Let me refresh so you see that this. So you see 1 2 3 2 7. So this is the ID. This is how the value is being structured. So now let's go and delete. So let me go back to the code. So what we're just saying is what? Delete from what? Our table. So you measure this is your table. So user, so where what the ID is. So we are trying to delete all the whole ID. So we're trying to delete the user entirely. So delete where the what ID is equals to 3. So if you delete it, what we are saying do what? Echo what? Echo successfully, else print out the error, the reason why I did not do it. So when I refresh, done. So now let's go to the database and refresh. Number 3 is gone. But funny enough, you will ask him why number 3 is gone. You're supposed to delete that number 3 and do what? Start, remove that person and do what? Give the next person number 3. That the thing is that when it comes to database, it does not do that. So the moment you delete number 3, that number 3 is gone. That particular number ID is gone. You cannot replace, you cannot even put anybody back inside of that number 3. Right now I cannot put anybody inside of number 3 again. So if anybody register again, if anybody, even that person that you just delete from the database, register again, he's going to be at number 8. So number 3 is already gone from our database, not coming back again. So this is just the way the database is structured. It's not that we did anything to it, it's just the way the database is structured. So very important. So I've been talking about edit profile picture. Now this is where the edit profile picture works. So this update data, this is what we use in editing your profile picture. Whenever you go to the data edit profile picture, to your edit, in short, in general, so to edit profile in general, you find out that your information already exists there. So what you are going there to do is not to insert data like we have been doing before. So you are going there to um, update what already exists inside of the database. So how do you update what's already existing inside the database? We already have the formula for that. So this is it. Update table and set this to whatever it is now. Now let's get straight to the procedure. So now let me use this. So if you notice the line is just this error message, and it's just, I don't really need to copy it, but you need it to know if the thing is actually working. So the main thing that does the job is just this. This is the main thing that is doing the job. So let me comment on this delete. So the update our here. So this is our user. Yeah. So users. So we want to update. Okay. So set last name to what do. I think let me check that last. Let me check ID too. Let me not be updating something that is already. I think number 2 is okay. Number 2 is Smith. So I want to change this Smith to something else. So let's go out and change it. I'm not changing it to do. Let me change it to something different. So let me change it to black. So change it to black. Change our last name to black. Where what the ID is equals to what 2. So if we just record successfully else, print out our error. So when I refresh, already updated. When I refresh, this Smith is changing to black. So this is how you change edit profile picture. This is how you do it. All those profile. So if it is profile picture, you know that the image will be already somewhere here. So one of the column will be the image. You can just do what, change what, the image to whatever you want to change it to. If it is the person's password, same thing. So if the person password is the same thing, to update password, you want to change password, this is the same command we use. So I think this is our last database. So now at this point, do you have any question overall in our database?
So,
Yeah.
what if when you're inserting and you want to set
Uh,
so what if when you're inserting and you want to set the ID to 3, but you've already deleted 3 before? Is it possible?
you cannot if you have deleted that. No, it's not possible. If the 3 is already gone, you cannot insert anything there. The new person that is coming in, the new things that you can do now will be for the next number. That is, in this situation here, is going to be 8.
Okay.
Yeah. If you delete 3, 3 is gone.
Okay.
So if you have any other question, you can just come and post it online again. So if you have any other question, you can just post it online. So in our next lecture, we're going to talk more about this database before we enter into object. So see you in our next lecture.